She spent 9 years right here at the helm of IKEA Switzerland. As its CEO, she saw the company through two currency crises, the ongoing transformation of the retail sector, and spearheaded numerous initiatives on behalf of diversity and inclusion. Let's meet today's newsmaker, Simona Scarpalegia. Thank you for joining us on The Newsmaker. Simona, it's always a pleasure.
Mine.
Now, I want to start by asking you about this new position that has you reporting to IKEA's global management, so effective October 1st, so very soon. So now I have to refer to you as the outgoing CEO.
Yes, yes.
After 9 years of being the CEO, how does that make you feel?
I know. Of course, it's mixed feelings. I loved this job, and I am so much connected to the people here. Together, we brought very good results. We developed the business, the brand, and many have grown. So I feel home here. But I will still be here. So it's not a farewell forever, you know, it's just I will do something else. And what I'm going to do is definitely very compelling to me.
I want to hear more about that in just a moment. But normally, you know, CEOs stay in their positions, 4 to 5 years? But your tenure went as long as 9. What kept you here so long?
Yes, well, many things happened in between. So first of all, I'm grateful to IKEA that allowed me to stay here longer, also to match some personal reasons. But also, I changed 3 teams in the meantime, and for good reasons. Everyone in my team had a different path, and they grew within IKEA. They are in different countries now. So I'm also proud to have provided so many talents and developed so many talents for the organization. So it was not a boring job at all.
Yeah. But back to the role, was it your choice then to move on?
Yes, you know, we all know the world is changing. Digitalization is all over the place. This fourth revolution, industrial revolution, is about digitalizing all the activities. It's not only about production anymore. But there is a very important point.
That's missing.
Investments could be in vain if you don't invest in people as well. Because people will be those who will be running those investments, and they need to do with knowledge and with skills that are different from what we needed before. So I will take care of this part.
Which is also a new position. This is something that
Which is a brand new position. We tested something here at IKEA Switzerland, where we went through a big reorganization, but still we anticipated the events, let's say, and we have been starting upskilling and reskilling our co-workers, and hence this process went very smoothly here. But it's big. IKEA globally has 160,000 co-workers. Our major goal is to grow the business through people, and we want to have everyone employable within IKEA or within the IKEA ecosystem.
So this new people role actually has quite a title.
Yes.
I don't know how I'm going to get it on the screen, but here we go. Manager of the Global Initiative of the Future of Our Work. So you're going to be, I guess well, first, for you, did they design this with you in mind, this role?
Well, normally you don't design a position for a person, but you, as an organization, you see that there is a need for a position. So IKEA really means to be a responsible employer and supports the co-workers. At the same time, business needs to go on, and we need to, you know, be ahead of times with technology, otherwise we'll be out of business. So how to combine the two? And then the choice was on me, most probably because I had already experimented something successfully here. I know retail because I work in retail since decades now, and I also have an HR background in the first part of my career, so most probably the combination works.
And you were looking for a change? Or?
I was ready for a change, actually, because 9 years, despite the fact, as I said, I didn't have a boring moment, but it is about time for all of us to do something else and something different. Now, you can find it also privately, some extra interests, but the work is a big part of your life. So
sure. And so what will your duties be? What will you be doing on a day-to-day in this new role?
So there are some deliverables that we need to provide to the organization, and first of all we need to have a clear picture, so it's the analytical part. We need to have a clear picture of what is the gap in terms of skills that we need to fill in order to be able to take maximum advantage of our technological transformation. Secondly, we need to leverage on people's willingness also to change and to learn, and it will be surprisingly positive. What I've seen here, people really are ready to change. People are ready to change much more than we imagine. So we will initiate several plans and actions in terms of reskilling, upskilling, and repurposing. It's much bigger than the normality. So you can go for training, which is the easy part. You need to go for education, which is a much broader scope that you need to invest on, or repurposing. It means that many jobs will disappear.
Right.
But new jobs will appear, will be created. And how can we accompany people in just embracing a brand new job? In general, all industries will be hit, and 50% of the activity of each job will be impacted. This does not mean that they will be cancelled. It means on one hand that some activities will be done by machines, most probably even better, with higher quality and faster than people.
But can you retrain everybody? Can you really do that? I mean, there will be jobs lost, right?
It will be, yes, job loss, yeah. Work loss not. That's
okay.
That's exactly the point. That's why we called it the future of our work and not of our jobs. Because if we focus on jobs, we are already obsolete. We need to focus on work. People want to work. Work gives dignity to people, and people can work in different ways on different jobs, leveraging on their abilities and skills.
Talk to me about what your job also would be like. I mean, as CEO here of Switzerland, you oversaw like 2,800 people. I mean, you were constantly surrounded. You spent your time on the sales floor,
yes.
as you told me in our first interview.
Yes.
And you've enjoyed, being in touch with the merchandise, being in touch with people. Now, I mean, will you miss that? Are you going to be working from home? I mean, what are you going to be doing?
So it will be very, very different on one hand. And then, I mean, you need to take also your own initiative and your own decisions. So it will be different because it will be a lot of virtual work. I will be based here in Switzerland, and I will, commute when needed, travel when needed. I will have I'm already having a lot of Skype calls, which means that you're not in the room with the same people and you need to be super focused. So I am experimenting now. It's very efficient.
Right.
No? Really very efficient.
It is very efficient, but you lose that sort of
but I mean,
being in the same room with people.
That's why I'm still will be based here, so I can meet people. But I am pretty sure that after the analytical part, when we will start implementing and pairing the technological investment with investment on people, I will be meeting quite a number of people to launch it, to explain, to inspire them, hopefully, and I think that will be the cool part also of being still in touch with people. It will be a job where you lose a bit of the directiveness in the leadership and you become much more an influencer, which is fascinating for me. It's a new learning. I need to, you switch from this kind of, power of doing directly to the power of being. You don't influence.
Are you going to miss doing, though? Are you going to miss the doing part?
Well, I'm quite a constructive person.
Yes.
But since I'm very much result-oriented, I also put in this initiative a number of KPIs. I always say what gets measured gets done. So we have our KPIs, and this will give me the idea that we're going in the direction we want.
Now, your title, again, is Manager of the Global Initiative of the Future of Our Work. You've already mentioned a little bit about what that looks like, but in your mind, what does the future of work look like, or what do you hope it looks like?
Technology has always evolved in the history. The difference now is that it is much faster, and it touches all fields. Men and women, people, should not be afraid of it, should lead through technology and not be victims of technology. So this is the main thinking behind. So I think that in our stores we will provide a fantastic experience to the customers, helped by machines. And our co-workers can free up their time to engage in a conversation with the customer and find out what their needs are and help them furnish their home better and live better ultimately.
So more in that line of consultainment?
Absolutely, that is exactly the point, because also retail is changing. And today, from the customer perspective, the customer can buy at any time, anywhere, from home. There's no compulsory need to go to the store. So why should they go to the store? Because they meet people. They meet people who can share their knowledge and they can help them. They meet people with whom they can socialize, they can learn something, they can have fun. So the store becomes a completely different place. Mm-hmm. And people do play a role. We will become, as retailers, less and less transactional and much more relational. So why, and we saw that with different, already started in Switzerland, experiments and training, and upgraded our co-worker skills, and they're much happier, customers are much happier. Maybe it is because of this that this fiscal year was fantastic.
Which brings me to this exactly. You've said that before, and I quote, "It's been an extraordinary year for IKEA Switzerland." Now, the numbers we know aren't officially out. Yeah. At the time of this release of this interview, but
yes, we are not. It's not official numbers because we closed the fiscal year in an end of August.
So I have to take your word for it.
Yeah, yes. But you will have then the official confirmation when we close the books. What I can say for sure is that we have already reached the goal. So every single hour that passes, we are above goal.
Which was 2%.
Which was originally 2%.
All right. And now you're at?
I can say that we are very close to 4. Can be set 3.7. Okay. But I don't want to say an official figure here. It's
right.
To be correct. Right. And I believe that this is, of course, depends. From many, it is depending from many factors, because the market is not really brilliant. Actually, the home furnishing market is shrinking. Yes. And also retail is struggling.
So how are you successful?
Well, I believe it's 3 reasons, main reasons. One is people. Right. Number 2 is that we are a loved brand now, and people acknowledge. As opposed to a need brand, which was okay also, but it's not what we aspire to as a company. So it's not only practical to go to IKEA; it's nice, and it raises a completely different emotion in the customer. So this, I think, it was another good ingredient, and the third thing is that we really wanted to increase and improve the customer experience. So we started changing things happening in the stores, and we also online. Online has been very successful, and we integrated it in the customer experience completely. So from us now, it's omni-channel. Right. You can browse and buy everywhere.
Mm. Right. I was going to ask you, how much of this is in e-commerce in just a minute. But in the time that you've been here, how many stores were opened under your?
2 new stores.
2 new stores.
Yeah, okay. Geneva and Lucerne.
And how profitable has it been compared to other European markets? Like, obviously Germany is number 1 and has the most stores.
Yeah.
But how
So
can you
in terms
compare
of
this?
turnover, we are, despite the fact that we are a small country physically, and we are in the middle. IKEA has 24 countries retail, direct retail, and it's we are in the middle. So sales-wise, we deliver, but we have a very, very healthy profit and loss and bottom line. So we are profitable, we are efficient, so it's a healthy company.
You're watching the second part of our Newsmaker interview with Simona Scarpaleggio. She is now the outgoing CEO of IKEA Switzerland. On October 1st, she'll take the position of manager of the global initiative of the future of work. Now, if you want to know more about that, you've got to watch part 1. You'll find that on the address at the bottom of the screen. We, however, are going to move on. Now, we left you with a question about whether or not you think brick and mortar is dying a slow death. Is this going to eventually disappear?
I don't think so. I think the stores, brick and mortar stores, are not dead. However, they need to change. They need to change the way they look. They need to change what happens within their walls, and they need to find a new meeting with the customers, integrated with online.
But they are shrinking. I mean, there are more and more closings of stores around the world.
Yes, there are some stores that are closing and retailers that are struggling, but I believe this is also connected to the fact that there's no innovation. And we need to be ahead of time. We cannot just deny that innovation and technology is progressing. We need to embrace it.
Now, as I understand it, the store visits in IKEA have remained stable in spite of this.
Yes, in IKEA Switzerland this year in particular, we managed to have a stable visitation, which in the past has been slowly declining. So it is a very good sign, and I think it's also the result of the fact that we have started really changing the store experience and created a much higher integration with online. So I think the direction is the right one.
Sounds great. Sounds great. But what are the challenges that you're facing, though? What are, I mean, because it all can't be rosy.
Yeah.
What are you looking at, the concerns here?
I mean, we need to become more and more agile, and it is not easy, because our strength has always been that we are a super reliable organization and people do things by the book. And now, since the book is changing, or maybe there's even no book, we need to learn to be agile. And when we reached a lot with a lot of effort, and we need to be able to make it our normal way of working and be ready to understand what the customer wants. And needs and wants from customers change much faster than in the past. In the past, we could push somehow ideas. Now we need to pull from customers their needs.
Mm-hmm. Are they becoming more demanding?
Definitely, definitely. This is a big trend in retail. Customers has much more saying on what they want.
Tell me about the Swiss customers. What's the Swiss market like?
Well, they're no exception, actually, and they're quite technologically savvy. So they use the web, and they now combine the fact that they use the web with the traditional way of asking and being very demanding on quality. And they're very vocal on that. So it's a super interesting customer, the Swiss one.
And is it more challenging? Because I always remember how the founder of IKEA always said that if you make it in Switzerland, you can make it anywhere.
I think today is even more true. Because of technology, again, it has been an enhancer. So in the past, the customers wrote letters to the company, to the CEO or other leaders saying, this is not working, this, and I would like to have that. And it took some time and a little extra effort. Now with mails, you get that. But it would be so stupid not to listen to it, right?
Yeah, I guess if you want to stay afloat, you have to listen.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have to listen. Earlier, you talked a lot about, in the first part, about retraining and repurposing your employees and all of this, which sounds like a massive logistical endeavor, but also expensive endeavor, a big investment on your part.
It is a big investment. It is a big investment, but it is worth it.
Can you put a number on that?
No, not yet. I would be able, I think IKEA globally would be able, but we are not at that stage yet. But if you see, there are many other retailers that are investing massively, Amazon, for instance. We would like to do it a bit differently. So, of course, the investments will be there, but we want to do the IKEA way. We do our part, you do our part. We want to engage our co-workers much more.
That's the IKEA way?
Yes.
Is it like a 50-50 thing, or?
It's in terms of not of financial investment, but of exploring and deciding. The co-workers will be much more involved.
Tell me about currency issues. I mean, how concerned are you about that?
That was the two big problems we had during this 9 years.
Tenure,
yeah, because in 2011 and 2015. When the currency changed, and IKEA has a catalog that is valid for 1 year. So when you have the price, you keep it for a year.
No matter what.
And that's the promise we do to the customer. And so when this happens, now you need to really reorganize your operations to be sure that you keep the margin. And it was quite an effort. But again, with the help of the teams that were understood completely what the situation was, we managed. And we have also invested in pricing time after time after time, so we are quite protected by our positioning.
And right now, the currency situation is not the best. The strengthening of the Swiss franc is what it is.
Yes.
Are you starting to feel like, I mean, do you starting to feel like, oh, this might repeat itself, what we saw in the past? Are you already preparing for this?
Since we had to, we started to prepare. So over the years, we have been investing in pricing to protect our price positioning and stay true to the promise that our quality price is the best on the market. So it is a long-term thinking that we carried on over the years. So for the moment, I feel that there is quite a solidity in that. But yeah, you never know.
No, you don't.
Economy.
Now I want to touch a moment on something that's coming up, that's on the minds of probably every business person, especially in Switzerland and in Europe, which is the frame agreement. Are you for or against Switzerland signing a frame agreement with the EU?
I think, I believe that we should really create a system in Europe. Then countries can be part of the EU or not, and we see the turmoil that we have in Europe, a system that allows freedom of circulation of goods and people. I think this was the reason why Europe and European countries at large, also those who didn't belong to the European Union thrived. And all these restrictions, I think, they are dangerous for many reasons. And they have impact not only on import, export, and general productions, but they also have an impact on employment, which I don't think it should be the case in this very moment when we are facing this transformation all over, where jobs will disappear. And if we don't allow this mobility in general, we will have bigger problems. So
it sounds like yes. Sounds like you're for it. And recently we had Monika Rühl from Economie Suisse on the executive talk, and she was just saying that the Swiss government just lacks the courage to move forward. Do you agree?
Well, I mean, I think she can talk much better as a Swiss person. What I could experience as a business person in Switzerland with the authorities is that they are very pragmatic, and they listen to the different stakeholders quite attentively, and then it takes some time to find a good compromise. So I don't know if it is a matter of courage, but it could be a matter of taking the time to find a compromise. Pros and cons, because then the compromises are normally full of common sense and very solid, and this is the positive part. but speed is also important, so sometimes it's risky.
Talk to me about innovation. We touched on this earlier. I mean, how do you define it? Are you talking pop-up stores, furniture renting, a global app, a chief of sleep? I mean, are these things part of innovation?
They are part of it. They are part of it. And what I really like at IKEA this very moment is that we have decided to go faster with test and try. It's better to fail fast than not fail but not do things. Huh?
Better to fail fast.
Yes,
okay.
This is our mantra for the moment.
Okay.
So
if you're going to fail, just do it quickly.
Yes, so you know,
okay.
and you don't go there anymore.
Okay.
But this is what our global CEO is also very much after, and we have different tests in different parts of the world on different topics, and some of them are really successful, and then we will roll out.
So a lot of the directive comes from central.
Yeah, we have a system, like a portfolio
and it comes down
system.
to you.
No. Countries
how
can. So the mechanism
you?
is this: countries can pitch for an innovation idea to the global organization, and they decide which one is more attractive, and they allow and finance this test. And then we see if it works, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. We drop it.
Oh, okay. So this idea of Switzerland being a challenging market is probably why you do a lot of pilot initiatives, because again, going back to Campari, if it works here, it works anywhere.
Anywhere, yeah.
Okay,
right.
Interesting. We are almost out of time in part two, so I want to touch on a very important topic, actually, which is sustainability. So IKEA, it's about selling furniture that's not necessarily built to last a long time. You have it a few years, but then you can get rid of it. You're like, okay, that was my IKEA thing. I can just go and buy something else. So, to the point where and the price, of course, encourages replacement because it is not so high-end in terms of pricing. Is doing something like having a fleet of e-vehicles for delivery and renting furniture plans, is that enough to counterbalance that?
No. But we have a complete and thorough strategy on sustainability. IKEA decided some years ago to really go all into sustainability, and we realized that we are part, as everyone basically, part of a problem, and we do want to be part of a solution. We need to save this planet. No, there's no doubt about it. So we decided to work on 3 different levels. The first one is to support our customer to have a better and more sustainable life at home. We changed a lot in our range in order to make it possible.
Like what? How do you do that?
For instance, all our water tubs have a special filter that mixes water and air. So when you open it, you use less water. No? So it's already, and it can halve the use of water, which is also important. We have replaced all our bulbs with LED bulbs, and we don't sell anything else than LED bulbs since years now. And Switzerland was the first country. We started a year before the other countries. And so range-wise, a lot. Then our consumption. So it's the electric vehicles that you say, but we have solar panels in all our buildings in Switzerland and in the other countries that are going in the same direction. And we really strive to save energy as much as possible, or to produce healthy energy to give to the community net.
But what about what you make for example, the wood used in making the furniture?
So we are using certified wood, and we also, in our productive cycle, we have, like, we call it the sustainability wheel. So we have products that are made either of recyclable or recycled products, raw material, and they can have a second life, or they can be reused or recycled afterwards. So the big vision is to go from mass consumption to mass circularity. We have also nice, good experiments in Switzerland with the Second Life projects. The customers can bring IKEA products back, and they get a voucher to get something else. And also now we are testing this renting of furniture,
Right.
which again goes into the.
And this is ongoing.
Yes, it's ongoing.
The rental.
The Second Life, it's up and running. The rental is on the test phase.
Okay, and how's that going? There's interest
It
in
is
it.
going. I mean, we started really beginning of June with 20 business customers, and they're happy. But of course, it's such a short period of time. We need to see when they give the products back and how it works.
The thing about the design, the layout of the IKEA store is that it's designed so that you spend a lot of time here and you buy a lot because you're constantly coming across baskets of this and that and the other. And so does this help with this idea of people, consuming less? I mean, you're like in a, consumption paradise somehow.
Well,
consuming less and using less,
Yeah, I would say that with this store, with this transformation of the store, people should find in the store a place where they feel good and have a relationship with other people, be it our coworkers or other customers. So it should become, as a vision, more and more a community place where you can consume
just
because you
hang
buy
out with your
something.
friends and do shopping.
Yeah, you can consume and buy something, but you can rent something in the future. You can have food, tea, coffee, breakfast, whatever. So it becomes more a community place.
Reto, you've been in the HR business for many years. You even co-founded this company, Soft Factors, here in Zurich. So it's safe to say that you've seen your share of employer branding trends. What do you make of IKEA's Chief of Sleep position?
I think it's a great idea. But if you actually look at the JD, I'm not so sure if the title is so correct, but definitely it gets attention. And that's what you want.
I have it here. As a sleep ambassador from IKEA Switzerland, you inspire Swiss people to relax more consciously, to sleep healthier, and to relax more. This is the job description. You think it's a great idea?
I think, if I'm 23 years old, I will definitely file my application for that. Yeah.
Well, they did have a lot of applications. They had more than 80, as I understand it, and mostly women.
That's interesting. Yeah. I'm surprised to hear that.
I know why.
Well, why wouldn't be a job for a man? The head of sleep. I mean, I would have taken it at that age.
I mean, sleeping is important, right?
Absolutely. I mean, it's key to your health, and sleeping at IKEA is even better because they have good equipment and they're a great company and they stand for an absolutely great employer branding. So I really think IKEA is a good employer to work for.
Well, this position in particular is only for 1 year, so it's a limited position. I mean, does it sound more like a marketing gimmick?
I think it is, honestly. It's like if I put out an ad there, and we're looking for a guy in charge of a lot of cool things or a chief corporate clown officer. I mean, it gets attention and it gets people out there, and obviously it makes it to the news. That's why we're talking.
So it's about this. You don't feel like there's really any, in spite of how important sleep is, there's no real serious value to this position.
I'm sure it's a serious position. I hope it is. Otherwise, it's a really cool marketing gag. But I think there are two ways why you would put up such a job description. One is to either appeal cool to your potential candidates. And that's why a lot of startups use these kind of job descriptions, or the other is just like to really attract attention in general. Yeah.
So at the end, it sounds like it's more of a PR thing than it is maybe a truly disruptive job.
Well, ask the Swedes; they will tell you.
Well, I won't be talking to the Swedes. I'll be talking to the outgoing CEO of CNN of IKEA Switzerland. But can you imagine a job like this impacting IKEA's bottom line?
No, definitely not. I would be very surprised if it would. Yeah.
So maybe more about attracting, like you said, young people, millennials, potentially, like this kind of groove.
I think if you just summarize how many times the word IKEA came up during our interview, you already see what actually advertisement money that's worthwhile to have a good, cool job title. So it really works. You know, it's employer branding is advertisement for a certain audience. That's why I also believe that in communications should have a bigger stake in there and not just HR.
And in Switzerland, have you heard of more of these kinds of positions?
They come and go. I mean, they come and go sometimes, but it's mostly either advertisement companies or startups that use these kind of titles or funny titles. Do attract attention because they have to, because they're unknown. So I guess IKEA could just have made it like junior product manager sleeping devices would be the same job, but it doesn't sound as funny.
I was just wondering if maybe Switzerland was jumping on that US-led bandwagon where they have things like Chief Flavor Officer and Dean of Pizza and Chief Troublemaker as official job titles.
Absolutely. In America, everything is chief or manager, I think. We know that. So, but I don't think we're jumping on that. I don't see that trend.
You don't see that trend developing here? Here? No. At all in Europe? Or?
I don't see it in Switzerland. And I cannot say about Europe, but I definitely don't see it in Switzerland happening too much.
Do the Swiss take themselves too seriously for this?
I think we are. That's why I like my Italian blood, because this is like taking it a little bit more on the lighter side. I think we should be much more adventurous and fun. But honestly, if I look at the HR tribes and people that work in that area, we're very serious. We're thorough. We're organized. We're so correct, especially in HR, because we're worried we make mistakes. So I think we could have a little bit more humor.
Which is why I guess you have gone with your own special title of guy, I guess, in charge of the cool stuff. What is that about?
These are our customers, because we really think our customers are cool, because they're innovative, they're new, they look towards innovation and new ways of actually applying and candidate handling and assessment and pre-assessment testing. So our customers are cool because they're adventurous, and I like to be among these kind of people. But I have to deal with the rest too, the uncool.
So then you could also be the guy in charge of the uncool stuff, yeah. But that wouldn't be as cool.
The cool and the uncool, but we also have a guy that's responsible for the hot stuff. And so I just give it to him then.
All right, well, thank you so much, Reto. Let's ask Simona what she thinks about your thoughts. All right, so what did you think? Were you surprised by his reaction to your Chief of Sleep position?
Yes, I really enjoyed the interview, actually. I think he had a point, because we got a lot of applications, and most of them were people in their 20s, as he addressed. And also more women than men, but also men.
And was it, ultimately, what is the point of this position? I mean, what is this about?
Yeah, so the point is, the name is an eye catcher, or
so it is a bit of
the name, but the role,
okay,
it's much more important, the content of the role. So this person needs to be a good communicator and being able to relate positively with people, because we want to make sure that our co-workers really understand the importance of sleep, and for themselves, for their well-being, but also when addressing customers. And a good night's sleep, it's very important for our lives and health.
Is it for people that are working in your bedding department?
Not only.
Specifically.
Yeah, not specifically. So this person will have to travel the different stores and convey the co-workers and explain why it is important to sleep, which are the different dimensions, from the more scientific ones to the more relationship-related ones, with a touch of, with this glimpse in the eye and
a bit of that consultainment we were talking about.
Yes,
earlier.
But valid for we start with co-workers and we'll continue with the customers.
Where did you get this idea? I mean, I know that the culture is such that you're constantly communicating with each other among the employees.
Yes.
I mean, was there like a conversation about we don't sleep well?
It was a team discussion, because there is a big debate about sleep nowadays, and there's very serious stuff about it, and we want to make it for the many. And one way of making important information for the many is to make it fun and light and easy understandable. So that is our contribution.
So who did you go for? Can you tell me, or you haven't made a decision?
Not yet. I think they're deciding this week. Otherwise, I would have told you the name. But I think they have shortlisted two ladies, so it will be
it will be a lady.
woman. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And what unusual title would you give yourself if you could?
This is a very interesting question. The chief of listening.
Oh yeah, the chief listener.
Yes, but in a positive way. You know, my name, Simona, means she who listens. And I think that listening is so important because you cannot make up your mind on your own. Mm-hmm. You need to listen and you need to understand. And by listening, you also see that people are different and you need to address topics in a different way. So I think it would be pretty, and listen to the customers. So could be a nice alternative as a title.
And do you agree with Reto that that this is not something that will go like a wildfire among Swiss businesses? I mean, it's not something that's going to spread? Or do you feel like maybe the Swiss businesses will be more open to using these kinds of titles?
Well, I tend to think that what I see around is more formal names. Mm-hmm. And I don't think we need thousands of different sticking out names, but maybe someone else will pick a little idea, but not the norm, most probably.
All right, I want to get back to the fact that you are leaving your role as CEO of IKEA Switzerland after 9 years to become to start reporting now to Global IKEA. What are two things that you are proud of having accomplished during your time?
Well, as a leader, definitely the trust and the atmosphere in the company, where people could really freely contribute and thrive, and they grew. And as a manager, we never gave up. We have a culture of performance, and we stick to that.
And personally?
Personally, I learned so much in Switzerland because I came with a different idea of the Swiss people, like the person in the interview was saying, was too serious. Of course, he's right. People don't want to do a bad job. They want to really do things seriously and in a good way. But after 9 years, I can say there is such a sweet soul in the Swiss people that I really appreciate.
So what about two things that you consider failures or things that you wished you would have done differently?
Yes.
Is that a longer list?
Yeah, no. Well, I mean, the big one is really not having started before with the transformation in the customer experience.
Okay.
And this could have gained even more market share and the closeness to the customers. This is the biggest one. And the other thing is that we could even insisted more on sustainability, because we are so strong there and we believe it so much that we can emphasize it even more. Sometimes the Swedish culture and the Swiss culture is undertoning a bit things. They were very modest and humble, which is good, it is a nice value, but sometimes you need also to share more, because in sustainability you need to have people who join the cause.
And if you could point to, I know there's been a lot of lessons along the way, but one of the bigger lessons learned for you in your job?
In this job, that you need to trust that the vision long-term works. Because in this world is bombarded, the business environment is bombarded with the short-term needs, and you need to stick to the vision, because you risk much more to be lost otherwise. So the leader needs to be a bit the compass of the organization.
And the toughest part of being a CEO, what's that?
It's a very solitary role. So I am very close to my team, and I get a lot of positive energy and interaction with my team and with the many people. But many decisions you ultimately take on your own, and sometimes you cannot even share. Am I really doing the right thing? So I think this is a very special dimension of this role that you need to live with.
And what about the best?
The best is that you have a lot of freedom. You can really decide. I mean, if you think that this is important, that this is what will bring your company in a better place and your team in a better, you just do it. So it feels good.
So what is your greatest piece of advice to your incoming CEO, who is a woman again, Jessica Anderen? What's your biggest message to her as she takes over IKEA Switzerland?
Well, yesterday we had our meeting with the co-workers in the office, so I introduced her, and she's a lovely person, so I think they will appreciate working with her. And what I said is trust that these people will be so much welcoming, and she will have her own footprint, of course, but building on the good competence and trust that is here is something that should not be wasted.
Now, IKEA generally, and we touched on this earlier in our interview, is about standardization, right? I mean, it's about doing things, all the stores kind of do, you build uniform furniture, you have uniform offers. How much freedom did you and will she have to really cater to the Swiss market?
Well, there is a dimension that is definitely global. I mean, we have a global catalog, a global range. We are doing massive digital investments globally, so we have to adapt to that necessarily, but this is also our strength. However, there is a huge attention at the local markets. So the way we interact and understand that the local customer is winning, because we have 9,000 products. You can combine them however you want and create millions of different solutions. And we need to be able to understand how people live in the country and be able to provide them their specific solutions. And now with artificial intelligence, we are going into even the individual needs. So local will be important, but the structure has to be global, and it's worth it.
Okay, I want to get back to you. So you were born in Rome, to a generation where it wasn't the norm for women to have full-on careers the way you've had, as I understand it. But I also understand that you were inspired by your grandmother.
Yes. So my grandmother, she was a tiny and great woman at the same time. And when I had my birthday, I don't remember if it was 15th or 16th. So I was a teenager, and she gave me a ring. I don't wear it now, but I wear it often. And she gave me this ring, and she said, you know, if you want to lead, you need to learn, and anything can be learned. I mean, that was so powerful to me, because she didn't put any kind of barriers about do something that women can do, or you need to learn, so it will be very difficult. I mean, you can take it from different angles, and just she removed the obstacles. Anything. So you have to do something, but the world is yours. Such a powerful sentence to me. I still keep it, and I tell other people and my kids. It was a good thing.
And it's funny because here, especially in Switzerland, the name Simona Scarpaleggia has become synonymous with, gender issues, diversity, inclusion, social engagement. So first of all, you didn't put up any barriers for yourself. Not to mention you were country CEO of IKEA. But was it somehow the plan, or was it just a byproduct?
Well, I have been fighting for gender equality since decades now, because I think it's the right thing to do, and because I think it's a benefit for society and a benefit for individuals and for companies. And then, of course, I come from a business environment, so I took this angle that I know best, and with the example, in IKEA Switzerland we are gender equal since years, certified by EDGE, and we have equal pay, so we can show that it works very well, but also by being vocal in different circumstances and sharing the experience with other companies.
Earlier, we talked a lot about how this has been an extraordinarily successful year for IKEA Switzerland, where you've almost doubled your initial goal. How much of these issues, this gender equality, this pay equality, these initiatives, how much of this goes into the success that you're experiencing today?
I am convinced that a big part of this, not the fact per se that we are a good example in terms of gender equality, but having gender equality in an organization secures that you have better talents because you fish from a bigger pond. It mirrors the customers better, so you understand the customer better and serve them better, and also it creates a good cooperation spirit in the organization compared to one gender team.
You are watching part 4 of our Newsmaker interview with Simona Scarpaleggia, outgoing CEO of IKEA Switzerland and a future manager of the Global Initiative for the Future of Work. Not in your kitchen, but almost your kitchen, because the IKEA store here has become your second home. And I have to add now to your roles, newly minted author of a book on, shall we say, female empowerment.
Yes, we can say that.
Okay, a lot of books out there like this, Simona. What are you bringing to the table that is different?
Well, when I thought of publishing something about this topic, I saw that I could give a contribution showing the opportunities that are behind empowering women, and in particular about the opportunities for companies, because I wanted to talk about something I know, and I've been in business for decades now, and I just wanted to encourage my colleagues, company leaders, to capture this opportunity. So in fact, this book is about opportunities for companies.
And you've called it The Other Half.
Yes, because we neglect the one half of the population, which is women, or at least we don't give women the necessary attention, and we don't get the fantastic potential that they can express. So it's really a win-win-win proposal, the one that comes from the book.
This is actually something I've heard you say before, which is women are half of the population who are in fact raising the other half.
Yes, exactly. And this is such a profound thing that we sometimes don't even think about. We as women, we need to be very aware of this role and also start avoiding this stereotype where men are strong and harsh, and they need to win every battle, and women are weak and they need to be protected, because we build on these stereotypes. And I think every human being is strong and weak and needs to be protected and needs to thrive. So that's the point. Women have this role as well.
What motivated you to finally just sit down and put these thoughts on pages? Because, I mean, writing a book is not an easy thing. It's time-consuming.
It took some time, yes. So,
out of your insanely busy schedule,
yeah.
I mean...
It started when I was engaged with the UN in the high-level panel for women's economic empowerment. And I really, conveying with all those people, I saw that there was such an untapped potential that we needed to bring forward. And I started writing on my LinkedIn profile some articles. And then they became quite a number of articles. So maybe a book could come out of that. But that, of course, was a total delusion, because I had to work much more. I thought that was enough, an easy fix. No. Yeah. So I had to do more research, interviews, share cases of real people that are not there with a real name, but with a real story, and it took some time. But it was nice. I liked it.
We probably learned a lot along the way.
Absolutely.
It sounds that way.
Absolutely. And that was my take, no? Because you never stop learning. living is learning.
Yeah, absolutely. Now you have 2 daughters and a son. How much of this, of what you put in this book, do you pass on to them? I mean, are you living what you are saying here in these pages?
I think so. I think so. I pass a lot of things, but the good thing is that I have girls, and 2 girls and a boy, so they can see what are the benefits. That if they want to be treated equally, they feel good because they're treated equally, and there's less fighting. There's less. Sometimes they say, "Oh, Mom, can you stop that?" We know, but this is normal family dynamic. But I think they will benefit. I'm sure that they will be also much better partners to their partners.
I want to get to that in a second, but you mentioned, you told us earlier about the connection you had with your grandmother and how inspirational she was for you. What would be that core message that you want your children to hear, or that you have already imparted on your children over these last years?
Well, this is a matter of respect for people, first and foremost. So be always respectful of the other space and of the other needs, and make them feel good. Isn't it nice to make people feel good? And it's good for you as well.
And getting back to the partners thing, I always laugh because I heard from a friend the other day that if you can survive shopping at IKEA with your partner, then that is a real test of your relationship.
Yeah, well, she is partly true, I have to say. We ran a couple of surveys over time, and there is 2 critical moments. The first critical moment when a couple goes is when you go to the accessories department, where women get totally enthusiastic, and men are done with the 2 because they're much more interested into furniture. So for them it's another round, and they say, oh, and the other critical moment is the cash line, where they discover what the women have put in the trolley while they were distracted or maybe drinking something that we can. And there sometimes we have fights.
We have some conflict.
But now over time we tried to, we have shortcuts in the layout. We have created spots where people can relax, simply relaxing and sitting, or enjoying some food or some drinks, and this calms down.
Interesting, you've had to work that into the entire store dynamic in order to help mitigate these.
But there's nothing better than asking and listening to what the customers say to please them or to make them happy. Yeah? You cannot invent.
And another kind of cultural, how shall we say, byproduct of IKEA is also that somehow for many of us, and I include myself in my first apartment especially, it's almost like a rite of passage to come to IKEA and have to assemble the furniture yourself, because now I know you have the option of having somebody come and assemble it for you, but in the past, you had to put all that stuff together alone with those, in Swedish, those instructions.
It's true. I mean, well, it is. We have discovered that the satisfaction rate of the customer who has assembled the furniture themselves is much higher. Because you put part of your energy and your creativity, and so it will stay. Cash and carry will stay at IKEA. But of course we provide services as well because they are requested, and also again the world is changing. Maybe people just don't want to browse and buy online, or they don't own a car anymore. So
you have to be able to cater to both.
Yeah,
to both. Now, in our first interview, it was about a year ago, you called me out on asking you how you balance your career and your family. And you told me men never get that question.
Yeah.
So you answered the question, but I could tell that you were not super happy about it. And you told me this, and fair enough. But how much of your success do you put on the person that you chose as your partner? How related is that to your success?
Definitely, he had a role. My husband had a role, because I know of many women, also my friends, who had either an active vocal resistance or passive resistance, and they were put in front of a choice. Either you get this family, or you can have a career, but not with me. So I mean, there are some harsh conversations in families. So of course I'm also grateful to my husband, but I say grateful because I'm grateful to him for many other things, for the love he gives us, and he's the father of my children, but not because I felt that I need to ask for permission. And he didn't mean to give me any permission. That's why I married him, actually.
Yeah, he wasn't looking for that.
No.
He was supporting you from the beginning.
And I supported him, and I think support each other is very important in a family.
Well, I'll have you know that I have asked many men after our initial
Well done.
conversation,
Well
how
done.
they balance work and family. And sometimes they're surprised by that question because they don't often get it. And so, but some of them are really, they're like, I'm happy that you asked me that
Good.
because nobody does.
Good.
So,
well done.
So thank you. Now it's time to finish up with some questions that will help our viewers get to know you a little better.
Oh.
Okay, it's a bit of a list. So just tell me the first thing that comes to your mind.
Okay.
What is your idea of perfect happiness?
Perfect happiness is about, for me, it's about being surrounded by people with whom you have a good conversation and they believe in you and you believe in them. It's a relaxed, trustworthy situation.
What is your greatest fear?
My greatest fear is it's actually connected to the environment. I am very concerned. And 10 years ago I was concerned, and it was more a rational feeling. Now that I see things, it's really becoming emotional. I think we are much more threatened than we think.
Nice. Which living person do you most admire?
Living person I most admire.
You can have one pass, by the way. If you want to pass, you get one.
Yeah, pass.
You want to pass? Funny, you're the second person to do that. What is your greatest extravagance?
I have a lot of eyeglasses. I don't use eyeglasses normally, but I use them to drive, and I have many of them with strange shapes and different colors.
Okay. Which words or phrases do you most overuse?
When you work on things, things happen. This I use all the time.
In Italian and in English? Or?
In Italian and in English.
What is it in Italian?
Quando si lavora sulle cose, le cose succedono.
Okay. All right. Which talent would you most like to have?
Well, patience. I think my
is that
biggest.
A talent?
I think it's a talent, okay. And my weakness is that I'm not that patient, and sometimes I missed things because I was impatient.
What do you consider your greatest achievement?
Personal achievement is that I feel good with myself. I feel that I've done so far the utmost to grow. I think the other achievement when I look outside is that I have built so many good relationships. You know, I have business success, and I think it's part of I am happy that I reach results. Mm-hmm. But is that the true meaning of life? I'm not sure. I think success as a leader and as a manager becomes meaningful when this makes other people thrive. So if the company goes bankrupt, you create a lot of problems to the people and their families, etc. But you cannot split the two things. No, you need to deliver your result because this is for the good of the many. Mm-hmm. That's my point.
What is your most marked characteristic?
That I am curious and constructive. I start things and I close them. So I construct. This is, and I'm quite proud of that actually. But yeah, that's the thing that qualifies me the most.
Who are your heroes in real life?
Well, definitely many outstanding leaders that fought for freedom, for human rights. But wouldn't be nice to have a world without heroes that doesn't need heroes. And there are so many unseen and unknown heroes that I feel really humbled. If you think in many parts of the world, in Switzerland most probably, in Italy, in many continents, they do enormous sacrifices, physical, psychological sacrifices to survive and make their family survive. Nobody talks about them. They're really heroes. So if I can give a contribution, is to create a world where heroes are not needed.
What is your greatest regret?
Well, really regret. You know, since I am quite an independent person and I decide for myself, I really take decisions every day about my life. I can say I did mistakes, but I cannot say I really regret, because that's my responsibility. Did you do that? Yes, that's a mistake. Okay, I learn. But I cannot recall them. I mean, maybe some small episodes that are forgotten, but something I say, oh, I should have, you know, I don't.
Hey, so what is your motto? No regrets, or?
No, my motto is really this one, that you need to stand for what you believe and fight for it. And I would really regret, and maybe there have been times where I was not really true. I cannot recall a specific episode to this, that I didn't stand totally for what I believe. That I regret, I would regret. No.
Okay. And so a motto?
A motto is do what you stand for and do it. Don't wait for others to do it. Do it yourself.
Okay, last question. What was the most important lesson that you've learned from the 2008 financial crisis?
Well, first of all, I learned that sometimes we need to rely a bit more on real economy other than financial economy, because there was this fascination with the financial economy. Financial economy has a role, but the real economy is also important. And secondly, growth is one thing and greed is another thing. So all leaders and all managers should be very clear when taking decisions. Are they taken out of willingness to grow, or are they taken out of greed? Because this is where it led.
So the lesson is that be aware.
Yes.
Of what's motivating your decisions.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, lovely. All right, well, thank you so much. That is
you.
a wrap.
Thank you.
The Newsmaker with Simona Scarpaletta is officially finished. Don't miss the complete interview online at the address you see at the bottom of the screen. Thank you so much for joining us. See you next time.